These clips could be a Tuesday, a Sunday, honestly any day of the week, because the first 6 hours of my day look the exact same. Same food, same routine, same timing, same route, same focus, day in, day out, Monday to Sunday. And you might look at this and think, honestly, this looks super boring and super repetitive. You must have all this discipline and enjoy suffering to be able to stay this consistent. But when the back half of my day looks like this, the reality is I've never felt more fulfilled with the life that I'm living. And I honestly think it's just because I've lent into how I naturally operate, which is in the extremes. And it just so happens that overall, that's made me feel more balanced in my life than I have ever before. Whenever someone talks about balance, I always picture a seesaw. And then when I think about balance in one aspect of my life or I get some advice, I think about trying to keep that seesaw as level as possible. But I was always fighting my natural tendency to sit at one extreme and have the seesaw touching the ground. But what I've realized is that balance in the micro scale, in just one aspect of life, in one seesaw, isn't so important. What's really important is the macro scale across all the different areas of life. When you add up all the seesaws, is it level on average? And it means that you can be sitting on the extremes for each of these different domains of life. And that's just naturally how I operate. And for me, it's been that way for quite a long time. When I was a little kid, I would eat dessert every single night. And I wouldn't just have like one scoop of ice cream. I would make a giant bowl with 3 giant scoops of ice cream, and I'd crumble biscuits on top, and I'd pour chocolate sauce over it. And I would just have this day in, day out, this massive blowout of a dessert. And then when I finally realized that this probably isn't something healthy that I should be doing all the time, I didn't really find moderation or find some balance. I went completely sugar-free at the age of like 14 for 9 months and had no refined sugar. Looking on the micro scale, there was no balance there. It was one extreme to the next. And the same thing repeated itself later in life. When I was at uni, I was a really heavy drinker. I would, drink in excess multiple times per week, get really, really drunk, be blacking out sometimes, going to parties, doing all this stuff. And when I realized that this was maybe a bit of a problem, it was getting in the way of some of the goals I wanted to achieve. I didn't like the person that I was becoming just because of all the drinking. I didn't dial back and have a little bit of moderation. I didn't become a 1 or 2 beers on the weekend or just like have a couple drinks. I went completely sober and I haven't drunk for months. It's just one extreme to the next. And the same was true for my work life. When I was in a corporate job and I had the kind of path laid out for me, I could see what the ladder looked like, what the next few years of progress was going to be. And it wasn't what I wanted. I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't like what I had to do every day. I didn't just switch career paths or find a new job that was maybe more fulfilling. I quit, packed my bags, moved halfway across the world and became a digital nomad and went all in on my business. One extreme to the next. And on the micro scale, there's no balance there. But in reality, on the macro scale, when I add up all of these different seesaws, it all feels really level. And I honestly have never felt more balanced. And now, honestly, I'm just gonna lean into that, my natural tendency to be in the extremes. And I'm just gonna accept that I'm gonna be extreme in some domains of my life, but when I add them all up, I'm gonna find balance. And so the first 6 hours of my day for the past 3 months have looked basically the exact same. And I asked myself, I've never been able to achieve this before. How have I been able to stay this consistent? And when I think about the seesaw, it just seems obvious. It's really difficult to keep any seesaw completely level and balanced. But if you can have each domain of your life just fully tipped to the extreme, it's much easier to keep it there and stay consistent and then find balance on the macro scale when you're adding up all the different domains. And I think for me, a big part of being able to keep this balance and maintain this level of consistency was just being able to make a day very repeatable, bringing all of the actions that I want to get done into one day and leaving like a little bit on the table to where I'm still hungry to do a bit more, but stopping a bit early. But so my day looks the exact same and I'm doing all the things that I need to do to progress towards the goals that I have. And that meant breaking down quite a few of the limiting beliefs around what are you allowed to do on certain days. Like even just working 5 days to have 2 days off, or eating breakfast foods for breakfast, or having rest days. These are things that I just had to change about what I believed. And so when I say I work every day, people don't see balance. But for me, it's working less than half a day, splitting it into 3 90-minute work blocks, and having the back half of the day to explore and complete freedom. And the same thing for exercise. People think it's extreme, but it's only 4 days at the gym and 3 days running, and it's all less than 2 hours per day. Or even travel. I've been moving around Latin America for the best part of this year, and people would say, well, that's not balance, how do you find consistency? But I've been living in the same Airbnb in the same city for 2 months at a time, so I'm able to set my feet. Accepting and living my life in these extremes honestly feels amazing. But even more importantly, I'm making better returns than I ever had before. I'm making more progress, and I think it's because I'm able to reach for the lower hanging fruit. There's more 80-20s, the 20% inputs, the 20% actions that get me 80% of the results. There's more of them on offer when you're at the extreme. And as an entrepreneur, you get more freedom to arrange your life and to live in these extremes, to be able to reach more of these low-hanging fruits, to find more of the 80-20s that unlock more progress and more efficiency. Like working every day, it seems extreme, but for me, it's an 80-20, it's a low-hanging fruit. Because the idea of switching off on a Friday afternoon and just putting everything away completely for 2 days just doesn't agree with me. I'd rather build that momentum and keep it going, keep the consistency. And now I've lived without solo online entertainment for almost a year now. That's no like YouTube, podcasts, movies, scrolling by myself. Now that sounds extreme, but it's honestly given me a crazy amount of focus and productivity in my 90-minute work block sessions. And then I still take 20-minute breaks, and I honestly feel more restored when I'm not just consuming entertainment. And now I eat the exact same food every single day. It changes slightly every 2 months when I move country, but it's looked basically exactly like this every single day. And people love to comment that this is super extreme and seems unbalanced, which is kind of funny because it's one of the most balanced nutrient profiles you can get. And just like work and like exercise, what I eat is really important to me. And so I'd rather just lean into my tendency and be in the extreme and get all of these 80-20 benefits. Like I'm eating a perfect split of all my micronutrients, good macros, and I only have to make this decision once. I just have to plan out what 1 day of eating looks like and then just repeat it. The same with the work. What's the right amount of work that I can do and still feel focused and productive? Or the same with exercise. It's the right amount where I feel energized and revitalized when I do it. A little bit sore, but ready to go again the next day. Now, I'm not prescribing that you do any of these things. They're extreme and they also trickle down from my goals, which are going to be completely different from yours. But what's universal here is that when you take the things you care about to the extreme, you get better returns, and you can still find balance as long as you add it up on the macro scale across all the different domains of your life. Now, a big part of this extreme work everyday lifestyle design is do the work first and then enjoy freedom afterwards. And it came from this realization that freedom, it tastes sweeter after you've had something a little bit sour. You've had some sour obligations to chew down on. And so you eat the frog, you do the difficult thing first, you get the work out of the way, and then I go to the gym, and that feels like a reward for the work. And then I have complete freedom to go explore, go hiking, go see new parts of the city. And that each level of this is more enjoyable because of what's come before it. Like your relative gratitude and enjoyment just increases throughout the day. And you also get the pride and satisfaction of knowing that you've done the work, you've put in the effort and moved the needle, you've made progress towards your goals. It's a bit of a pipe dream, or at least like a entrepreneur's daydream, that complete freedom is what you want. Like you want complete freedom of choices, yes, but if you have complete freedom at every point in the day and you're constantly having to make decisions, all you're going to get is fatigued from having to make all of these decisions. And it's going to be really difficult to make the right decisions in the moment, to actually doing the things that you need to progress and to extend your runway or to keep working towards your goals. And while it's true, yes, you can have complete freedom over the decisions you make, ultimately you're tied to the goals that you have and the inputs, the actions that are required to make progress towards those goals. But honestly, it's better this way. Just like sweet and salty, like hot and cold. The freedom's better with the obligation. It just feels more enjoyable to have complete freedom after you've put in some work. You know you've made some progress. I had a taste of the complete freedom right after I quit my job, and I basically took 2 months of holiday and I did nothing but enjoy myself. I was traveling up the east coast of Australia in a camper van. I had complete time off, nothing to do. I wasn't making any progress on the business, wasn't exercising consistently. And eventually this started eating away at the back of my mind that I wasn't making progress, and the freedom just got less and less enjoyable. Honestly, it's like hot and cold. The freedom is just better after making progress, doing something hard. All of this lifestyle design and living in the extremes, it honestly comes down to just trying to build the perfect day. 99% of our life is spent in the pursuit of the goal. Achieving the goal is 1%. It's a microsecond on the scale of the time that you spend trying to achieve the goal. So why are we optimizing for getting to the goal? We should be optimizing for the process of achieving it, the pursuit of it, because that is the day-to-day. It's the reality of what your experience is. But now if you're optimizing for the day-to-day and you're making all of these sacrifices in the moment for your future, you better hope that what you're sacrificing for is actually what you want and what you're gonna want into the future. But how are you supposed to know that? How are you supposed to know exactly what you're gonna want in 5 years? Honestly, the best answer to this is just to bring as much of what you think your dream life is going to be in the future into now. Try and live as many aspects of it while you're in the process of achieving it. That way you get a taste for, is this actually what I want? Is it all that I thought it was gonna be? Like, my dream life includes moving around the world and experiencing new places. And so instead of just working for 5 years, saving up, having that as the plan and not actually doing anything about it, I've started living that now. I'm moving across Latin America every 2 months with plans to keep going. I brought that dream life into now so that I can test, is this really what I want? And I get that affirmation, that confirmation that what I'm sacrificing for is actually what I want. And now this is a super powerful human behavior loop that you can tap into. You can be sacrificing now for the future, and in the moment now, you can be enjoying the sacrifices that you made yesterday and last week and last year. And so you're constantly delaying gratification, moving the needle, working towards some goal, sacrificing for it, but you still get to enjoy the moment because of the previous sacrifices you made. And the same is true in reverse. If you don't sacrifice it all and you just live in the moment completely for enjoyment, then you're going to build up resentment in the next day when you wish you had made some sacrifices, you wish you'd made some progress. And resentment and regret is one of the worst things you can build up in life. So it's much better to be on this positive side of the loop where you're sacrificing for the future. But if you're already someone who's really good at sacrificing for their future and suffering for their goals, then the hardest skill that you probably need to learn is enjoying. It's indulging in the previous sacrifices and the benefits of those actions that you took in the moment, so you actually enjoy the life that you're living. Now, I know I'm not the only person who does things to the extreme, so in the comments let me know what's that one thing that you do to the extreme that other people say is unbalanced, and stick around. I'm all about realizing more of your potential, unlocking more of what's possible for yourself and actualizing it, bringing it into reality and enjoying the process, finding fulfillment along the way. So I'll see you in the next one.